In business today, three things to know. First, it's Janet Yellen's first week in front of the whole class. What should Congress expect to hear from the new Fed chair when she testifies on Tuesday? Then, gay in the NFL. A star college player comes out weeks before the draft. What are his prospects now? And in the corner office, NFL legend and Hall of Famer Franco Harris on his business that is cleaning up the exercise industry. A Rise Exchange starts now. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Hope you all had a good weekend. Word late this afternoon that President Obama has authorized another delay in the rollout of the Affordable Care Act. This time, it impacts small businesses. The administration says it will now exempt companies employing between 50 and 100 full-time workers from having to offer health insurance for another year. They will now not have to comply until 2016. Full-time workers are defined as workers employed 30 hours a week or more. Companies with more than 100 workers must still comply with the law by 2015. 96% of small businesses employ fewer than 50 workers and are therefore not impacted by the Obamacare mandate. Republican critics and some Democrats have complained that the delays are coming without congressional authorization. So hear more about this in the next few days. Turning to the economy and markets, a day before Janet Yellen's debut as Fed chair in front of Congress, stocks finished the day mixed. There was not a whole lot of news to push the markets in any particular direction, and we'll talk more about what Yellen might say to Congress. Hint, probably no surprises, and we'll run down some earnings news in a moment. But first, let's take a look at how the markets closed on this Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up just 7 points to 15,801. The S&P 500 edging higher to 1799, and the NASDAQ having the best performance of the markets, up about 22 points to 4148. Taking a look at stocks we're watching today. Shares of Tesla Motors hit a record today after China's finance ministry announced higher than expected subsidies for electric cars that are brought into the country. China pays electric car buyers a subsidy of several $1,000s per vehicle. Tesla closing up 10 to 196.56. An investor advocacy group filed suit in federal court against J.P. Morgan Chase over the bank's $13 billion settlement with the U.S. Justice Department over faulty mortgage deals. The group says J.P. Morgan lacked transparency, accountability in regards to the deals. J.P. Morgan closing up to 56.74. And airplane maker Boeing says it expects nearly half of the world's air traffic growth will be driven by the Asia-Pacific region over the next 20 years, boosting the demand for about 13,000 new planes. Boeing up a fraction to 127.16. Taking a look at commodities, gold up to $1274.40. Oil over the $100 a barrel limit to $113. Janet Yellen will make her first report on monetary policy to the U.S. House of Representatives on Tuesday. Will her style and substance be different than her predecessor? Jim Awad is chairman of Plimsoll Mark Capital, and he is back here on a Rise Exchange. Good afternoon, Jim.
Thank you. How are you?
So let's preview a little bit about Janet's testimony. What do you think she's going to say?
Nothing. I think she's going to repeat the script. Don't forget, she hasn't presided over a meeting yet.
Right.
So she doesn't have any consensus from her associates to do anything different than was decided at the last meeting. And the markets like continuity and predictability. And for her to get up there at this point and change what they had just announced recently, I think would unsettle the financial markets. So I think she'll stay close to the script. She may give herself a little bit of wiggle room based on the recent numbers that are a little weaker than expected, but I don't think anything material.
And I'll ask you about that in a moment. So accountability and predictability means that the tapering will continue on some track.
The market expects it. The market wants it. I think the markets would like to see interest rates stay low for a long period of time, but for the capital markets to be more normal in terms of supply and demand, which would have the Fed ending tapering, ending QE3 by the end of this year.
Can the Fed do that? Can it get out of QE3 and keep interest rates low?
Yes, absolutely. As long as the economy is growing at a greater than 2% rate, I think the fundamentals can justify it and support it, and the Fed can taper without impacting the economy. economy. Anything less than 2% is problematic. So look at 2 as sort of the threshold, and the Fed is thinking 2 to 3. So their expectation is they will be able to get out. And if they can't get out, that's not a good sign. That means the economy is weaker than expected. So that would create a lot of uncertainty in the markets.
And there is some uncertainty there with the economic numbers that we got out towards the end of the fourth quarter and the beginning of January. And I wonder if Congress is going to press her on the unemployment issue, which is a key component of the Fed mandate. Unemployment numbers still drifting, probably not where the Fed wants it.
Well, actually, the unemployment number recently, the employment is not where they want it. It's not growing at the 200,000 a month that they want. But the unemployment rate has come down actually somewhat faster than expected. In fact, last month for some confusing and complex reasons. And I think what the Fed is going to do is going to abandon the unemployment benchmark and basically say, we know we were talking 6.6, right, we're there, but forget about it. We didn't really mean it. We're going to talk about some period of time way beyond 6.6. I think they want to give themselves the flexibility, and the markets understand that, expect that, and I think the markets are expecting the Fed rates to be unchanged through the middle of 2015. And if she needs to be pressed on that, I think she'll say that. But at the same time, not changing the metrics in terms of taper.
Is Janet Yellen's message then tomorrow basically going to be an extension of Ben Bernanke?
Yes, absolutely.
Does she have a different style than he does, from what you know?
Well, most people who've really studied this say that the substance is very similar. She might be slightly a touch more accommodative than Bernanke, but that the Fed under her will not be materially different than the Fed under Bernanke.
Well, let me ask you this. Ben Bernanke was rather chatty over the last couple of years, which was a change for Fed shares. And
right.
Like,
no,
I see that judiciously.
I see what you were asking the question.
Do you think that will be the case?
I think she's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved, and will do more responding to specific questions than initiating chat.
Okay, so for your outlook for the remainder of this quarter, which has about 2 months in it for the markets.
It all depends on the ability of earnings to grow. You're not going to get any more valuation increase in the markets. That was last year. This year, it's based on earnings. If the feeling is the economy can grow 2 to 3%, the markets will do fine. If there's worry about that, whether it emanates from the United States or the emerging markets, the markets will not do fine. So look at 2% as the threshold, 5-6% earnings growth. That is what the market needs.
Okay, Jim Awad, thank you so much for your help today.
Pleasure.
Okay. Well, with this weekend's announcement that college defensive end Mike Sam is gay, the NFL may get its first openly gay active player when he is expected to be drafted this year. Others have some questions about the timing of Sam's announcement and if he hurts his chances at an NFL career. Already, some analysts say his ranking for the draft has dropped. Here's a little of what Sam had to say this weekend.
Tell us. Came to tell the world that I'm an openly proud gay man.
How does that feel to say those words to the world?
It's a load off my chest. I told my teammates this past August that I came out to my teammates and they took it great. They rallied around me, they supported me, and I couldn't ask for better teammates.
Lamar Campbell played in the NFL for 5 years for the Detroit Lions and is now the NFL Players Association Director of Media Relations in Atlanta. Lamar, welcome back to Arise Exchange.
Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
So let me ask you this. No one is really questioning someone's right to say what they want to say about their personal life at any specific time. But there are consequences. And do you think his decision to come out right now will have consequences for his upcoming draft?
I think so, but I think for the most part, this was the right time to do it for him. Because one thing for sure is that the NFL is now put on notice. All the general managers, as well as the scouts as well, are put on notice. So now we can get this taken care of. And all they can do now is just focus on his skills as a football player, which is the most important thing coming up in the draft right now.
And for those who say it's a distraction, it wasn't a distraction for his college teammates, was it?
You know, I think if the NFL is going to move forward, and definitely congratulations for Michael Sam for having the courage. One thing scouts look at is leadership qualities and characteristics. Now, here's a guy who, of course, he built equity at the University of Missouri as a senior. But here's a program that actually kept it under wraps for an entire year and helped him produce to be an all-SEC Defensive Player of the Year. So his skills speak for himself. So when you move forward with that, I mean, I think you have to think about what he brings to the table, not only as a player, but as a man as well, regardless if he's gay or not.
Lamar, let me ask you, you said they kept it under wraps, but there was some word that there was pressure on him because the scouts were starting to ask questions. Do scouts actually ask that question, which would probably be on the wrong side of the law and certainly on the wrong side of the NFL's policy?
Right, of course, the NFL has an anti-bullying policy as well as an anti-policy towards asking those type of questions. But you have to understand that the NFL is a culture, the locker room is a culture, and
right.
I think this is probably the best thing for him. I think it was a perfect time for him before the NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis, of course, where these questions and concerns are going to arise. And the most important thing is, can this guy produce for you on the field? And one thing that's going to be accepted in the locker room, and here's a guy that brings his lunch bucket to work every day, comes in and works hard every day, and shows that he's one of the guys, you're going to get that kind of acceptance. But one surefire way to get acceptance is to perform well on the field. You know, I can go back to Manti Te'o last year with his incident. Once he got into season and produced on the football field, you did not hear as much about Manti Te'o as well. And I think this will eventually pass over for him as well, too.
You know, what goes on in the locker room has certainly become an issue over the past year with the issue with Richie Incognito, who, by the way,
Yes.
congratulated Mike Sam today for coming out as
Yes.
well. So the locker room, there's a lot of focus on the locker room. So if you are a coach or a general manager and you take Sam into the organization, what, if anything, do you really have to do? I mean, is it possible that the best answer is just to put him there and let him play?
No, I mean, I actually don't agree with that. I think you have to have a plan in place. I mean, let's be honest, this is a monumental task, and I'll be honest as well. He's not the first gay player in the NFL, but he is the first openly gay player in the NFL. So you have to have a plan in place for that. You have to talk to your media director for that. You have to contact the NFL for help with that. Whether he's a first-round draft pick or a free agent draft pick, he's going to be the most sought-after media draw regardless who drafts him. So championships are built from the front office down, as well as situations like this are built from the front office down. So you're going to have a front office that understands this, a good relationship with a general manager as well, and definitely leaders in that locker room that will make sure that he's going to be taken care of, he's going to be accepted, and he's going to be treated like every other football player in that locker room.
You know, let me ask you, before this weekend, if you talked about Mike Sam, he was considered a star and that he would go rather high in the draft. And now some analysts come out and say, well, you know, he's been having some playing issues. He wasn't performing as well. It sounds like there might be a little bit of a wiggle room of an excuse they're giving the drafters out there.
You know, it may be some wiggle room, and you have to understand there's a lot of organizations here that have old ownership with old views. And that, I think, will play a part moving forward. But you look at, you know, his size, and some scouts have said he may fall because of his size. But you look at Robert Mathis, who Michael Sam is actually a half an inch taller, who led the Indianapolis Colts this year with 19.5 sacks. So I don't care if you're 6 foot or 6'5". If you're putting 19.5 sacks down on a football field, you will be accepted, and that's guaranteed.
And finally, do you think, as I saw this comment made, that a team with a seasoned head coach and a very confident quarterback is probably the best place for him?
I think the locker room, the leadership of the coach, I don't necessarily believe it's just the coach or just the quarterback itself. I think it has to come down from the ownership. Here's a guy that's going to have to be accepted from the top down. And if the ownership accepts him, the general manager accepts him, and this is now out on the table now, so now the NFL can brace themselves. Listen, guys, you're going to have a gay teammate. It's going to happen this year. This is a guy that's going to come in and he's going to contribute to your team. We have to make sure that we make the situation comfortable for him and accept him as a man, as a football player.
And once he starts making the big plays, the issue will probably go away.
Issue will go away 100%. I agree.
Lamar Campbell in Atlanta, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Subway drops a key chemical in the making of its bread. Will other brands follow? You're watching Arise Exchange. Because we live in a global, interconnected world, business news no longer stops when the markets close on Wall Street. And what we've discovered over the past few years of the financial crisis is that events and news that happen even in the smallest countries impact the United States and the world at large. As we bring together experts and analysts and thought leaders and CEOs and companies across many industries to not only provide the macroeconomic view, but news everyday people can use.
Arise News is a different kind of network. We are able to tell our own stories, and we're able to cover stories in a way that other media outlets don't do. We've got world-class journalists, veteran journalists who have been in this industry for decades, not just in front of the camera, but behind the scenes as well. Arise News is a place where we can tell stories in an interesting, factual, inclusive way like no one else in the business can.
Welcome back to Arise Exchange. Time now for our business ticker. Activist investor Carl Icahn is throwing in the towel, ending his bid to have Apple buy back $50 billion worth of stock this year. Icahn owns about $4 billion in Apple shares and has been asking the company for months to commit to at least $50 billion of share repurchases in 2014. In a letter to Apple shareholders today, Icahn referenced a recommendation from the Institutional Shareholder Services that urged shareholders to vote against the Icahn proposal, so he dropped his bid. The data from more than 27,000 customers of Barclays had their data stolen and sold on the black market, according to the company or a company whistleblower. The investment bank says it's investigating the possible leak of thousands of documents that contain customer information. The files included details such as income, savings, mortgages, health issues, insurance policies, and passport numbers. Barclays said that a preliminary investigation suggests the theft was limited to data from clients of the bank's financial planning business, a unit that had closed down in 2011. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg has a different kind of status update today, that of the top philanthropist in the United States. He and his wife donated 18 million shares of Facebook stock in 2013 with a value of nearly $1 billion, $970 million to be exact. The company topped the Chronicle of Philanthropy's annual list of 50 most generous Americans. Monday, that Zuckerberg's donation was the largest charitable gift on the public record in 2013 and put the young couple at the top of the magazine's annual list of 50 most generous Americans. And thirsty thieves made off with a delivery truck jam-packed with beer. Beer. That happened in New York City. After the driver left the vehicle's keys on the front seat, common mistake, cops recovered the Heineken truck in the Bronx, completely cleaned out except for one 24-pack. The truck driver, who has been employed by the company for 14 years, was suspended from the job for 4 days. So he could enjoy a few Heinekens while he's hanging out. The Subway restaurant chain, removed a substance found in yoga mats, shoe rubber, and synthetic leather from its bread after a blogger known as Food Babe exposed the chain. Critics praised the chain for its swift response in handling the matter, but what damage, if any, does this do to Subway's brand of providing a healthier and better alternative to fast food? And will other fast food chains now follow? For that, we turn to Managing Director of Landor Associates and the author of The Edge, 50 Tips from Brands That Lead, Alan Adamson. Alan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Andrew.
So, let me talk to you about Subway, and they talk about healthy food, and yoga is healthy, but you don't want to eat the yoga mats. This came to light because of a blogger, but the fact is this chemical has been in Subway, McDonald's, Burger King food for a long time.
Right, not a new issue. Somebody uncovered it. And unfortunately for Subway, it's linked to products, even though FDA approved, linked to products you don't want to connect with eating. Shoes or
so let me ask you something. For Subway, that did react relatively quickly once it was kind of had their fingers caught in the cookie jar. Was that a good PR move, or has the damage been done?
No, they have to move quickly. It's in a lot of other fast food products as well. It's a little more painful for Subway because their positioning is about healthy eating. If it was about taste and good for you, it'd be a little less problematic.
Okay, so what do other brands now have to do? I think McDonald's issued a statement, if I recall, saying this is approved, nothing's bad here. Maybe people should be concerned, frankly, what they put between the buns than the bun. But do other brands need now to make this decision?
I think once the media and the consumers have gotten a hold of this issue, and it's a sticky thing because it's not just a chemical name. It's going to be hardwired to yoga mats, shoes. And those shoes, yoga mats, don't go with food. If it was in the food ingredient, a little tougher.
So a lot of celebrities have sort of connected their fame to Subway. Michelle Obama, the First Lady, most recently has done it. Well, how does this impact people like Michelle Obama and some of the athletes who have endorsed Subway products?
I think if they handle it right, it all depends on how fast they handle it and how effectively they handle it. And if they move quickly, get rid of it, it will pass, and it won't impact any of their endorsements.
Okay, so now what about the cost to consumers? Because replacing these chemicals is probably going to cost money, which means that the brands may have to pass along these costs.
Yeah, and they're not going to pass them along right away. They're going to try to work them into their cost structure. No one wants to get up and say, now 20% more because we're no longer using yoga mats when making our food. So, yeah, they have to get rid of it. It will factor in some way, but I think they'll manage it and manage through it.
Alan Adamson, the author of The Edge, 50 Tips from Brands That Lead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Ahead, one woman who took a New York City cab driver for a ride all the way to Boston. Her favorite person of the day is next.
Well, Arise is the only network that really covers comprehensively the African diaspora. It gives people in other parts of the world of color a chance to know about people here in the United States, us to know about them, and the world to know about us. So it's kind of an educational experience for everybody involved. Getting to know people through stories, through personal stories. You really get a chance to know what people are actually all about, what communities are about. How are we different? But more importantly, what commonalities we all share.
The great thing about Arise Entertainment 360 is that we cover the 360 of entertainment, food, fashion, lifestyle, culture. We're able to cover it all. And the thing I love most about the show is we're able to do a stunning combination of high and low. So we can talk about Rihanna on the red carpet, but we can also speak about high art with people like Sanford Biggers and Hank Willis. We actually spend quality time with our guests and we really get to know them. It's really intriguing because we get a 360 look at our guests.
Time now for our favorite person of the day, when we pick one person who grabbed our attention and not for the right reasons. Today, that person is a Brazilian woman who took a New York City taxi cab from JFK Airport to Boston and then stiffed the driver on the $1,000 fare. Police say 31-year-old Denise Rebolado hailed the cab at the airport and asked the driver to take her to her home in Boston. 4 hours and a long drive on I-95 later, the cab driver learned Rebolado had no money to pay the $980 fare. Then her 2 credit cards were declined. When the driver, Adnan Shortari, asked her to go to an ATM, she said she had no cash in the bank. Rebolado was arrested and then scolded by the judge, who told her there are cheaper ways to get to Boston, including the bus. On her social media pages, Rebolado says she became a Christian after she was, quote, delivered from alcohol, weed, and mysticism. Wonder how she paid for that delivery. She has until April 7th to pay the cab driver the fare or face jail. And so, Denise Rebolado is our favorite person of the day. Coming up next, NFL Hall of Famer Franco Harris on the business of clean exercise and what that means. You're watching Arise Exchange next.
Arise serves underserved communities by bringing them news, information, sports, and entertainment from places that are becoming part of the world economy, that are becoming a part of the world voice, and decisions that are affecting things in the world that people care about. They care about the economy. They care about safety and security. And if you come to Arise and you watch our broadcast, these are the things we're going to bring to you every day, 24 hours a day.
One of the great things about Arise Entertainment 360 is we have this Arise to Your Health segment, which really focuses on the holistic approach of being healthy. So we do everything from working out to juicing to getting in shape by doing fun exercises like bouncing on a trampoline or wearing these bouncy boots on our feet when we're jumping all over the set. We've done karate, we've danced the weight off, we've done just about everything. And of course, I love when we eat on set, but we do it in a very healthy and clean way.
In tonight's corner office, NFL legend and Hall of Famer Franco Harris. Harris played fullback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for more than a decade, winning 4 Super Bowls and going to the Pro Bowl 9 times. And now Harris has turned his attention to the sports exercise business, tackling the issue of clean products as co-founder of Silver Sport, a line of antimicrobial workout products. And Franco joins us now from Pittsburgh. Franco, a huge honor to have you on the show. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us.
Hello there. Great to be on your show.
So I want to talk to you about your business in a moment, but because of all the news this weekend, I have to ask you about the issue of Mike Sam and just quickly your analysis of what this may mean for both the league and his chances in the NFL.
Well, it's a wait and see for myself. This is definitely big news, and there's been a lot of news about it all day long. And so it'll be interesting to see how the players handle this.
Okay, Franco, thank you. So let me turn now to your business, Silver Sport, and let me ask you, as a professional athlete who then went into business, let's set this up for us a little bit of how that transition works. Sometimes some are very successful at it. John Elway, for example, you, for example. What sort of tools did you use to make this transition? And I know you haven't played, obviously, in a few decades.
I'll tell you what, the transition can be tough. And unfortunately, we have too many players that fail in that transition, and it is something that the Players Association and the league continually takes a look at. But my feeling is that you really have to use the same qualities that made you successful in sports and use those same qualities in life after sports. And that's something that I really recommend. I mean, we have to learn the basics, and once again, you have to learn the basics of a business or that new job that you're doing. Then you have to find out who's the best in that, or how does someone become the best in that. And then that competitive spirit. And then you want to be competitive.
You have to have that fire in your belly. And you also, you kind of brought it up, you need to have some good coaches, don't you?
Good coaches, good mentors are very, very important.
So let me ask you how you found your way to this particular business. For anyone who goes to the gym, this is a major concern about whether the equipment is dirty, about getting germs, et cetera. So talk us through a little bit about how this creation, Silver Sport, came into being and how it sets it apart from the other workout outfits.
With our company, Silver Sport, we are the odor-free and antimicrobial fitness line. It is very, very exciting. And what we look at is that there are no more smelly workouts, and the odor comes from bacteria. So not having any smelly workouts, that means that the bacteria is being eliminated. And our number one product is our workout towel. Our workout towel is incredible. And towels are one of the products that are tops in passing along contamination and bacteria. Now, when you have our towel, there's no cross-contamination. So if you lay our towel down or someone picks up our towel, they're not leaving any bacteria or any contamination.
Franco, how hard has it been to, let's say, educate both gym owners and consumers as well to the importance of this? Because while it is on the mind of a lot of people, they probably think the towel they get at the gym is clean.
What people will find, even though they continue to wash the towel, that there's still bacteria in that towel. But if they have a Silver Sport towel, that's one concern that they won't have. Because our towel is what we say is continually silver clean. Mm-hmm. So that means it is continually antimicrobial.
It actually uses silver in the development of it, correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right. There's silver used in it. Now, even our silver mats that people use for workout or use for yoga, with our silver mats, there'll be no odor. People, once again, don't have to worry about laying on that mat and picking up any type of contamination. So we're, and also when you look at it, when someone goes on a road trip and they take their workout gear, mm-hmm. What happens? Oh, they don't wash it, they hang it up, it smells. When they bring it home, either the T-shirt or the socks, a lot of odor. Well, if they're using our Silver Sport products, they bring home no smelly clothes. So no more smelly road trips.
Well, that would make certainly people who live with other people happy. Frank, let me ask you another question. You make this product, I understand, in the United States. We have about a minute left. How difficult is it to continue to manufacture products in the United States?
Oh, you know what? Manufacturers are just elated that we're working here in the United States. And I tell you what, we love it ourselves, and we are finding manufacturers. People talk about how tough it is, but they are out there, and so that is our goal, is to have products made here in the U.S.
Franco, for the Steeler fans out there, the team going to have a better year next year?
You know what? The last half of the season was great. And it's going to carry over. So We're looking forward to some great things next year. Looking forward to the draft. I mean, that's always something important, keep bringing in talent. That's very important. And hopefully one day they'll be using Silver Sport.
All right, Franco, I got to get out. Franco Harris, thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, another NFL great, Tiki Barber, stops by Xchange to talk about his new business, helping other professional athletes on and off the field, something that Franco just referred to. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Thanks for watching Arise Xchange.